me down, I ain't going out. As the culture turns, you gotta figure it out. They see you getting it poppin', they gon' try and come around. I be down to go out like and keep a live round. In the blick, get you hit. Bitch, we gon' get you first. Don't get caught up in the mix. Better watch out for that blitz. Can't deny that I'm lit. You can't deny that I'm lit.
Can't deny that I'm lit. Gotta ride with your blick. Fuck watching for the option. Be the cops to get you hit. I just right up off the porch. Mama said stay up out the mix. Niggas up when I was broke. They left me down on my dick.
All right, what's up, everyone? It's Jameer with the journalism, and no, I'm not a journalist, but I got that journalism presented to you by As the Culture Turns. Now, before I get into everything, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel, and also make sure that you hit that notification bell to stay tuned for more content just like this. All right, so on today's episode, I will be doing a movie review of the recently released movie on Netflix called Straw. All right, so this movie right here, it features Taraji P. Henson, Sherry Shepherd, and Tiana Taylor that is amongst the cast. All right, so the movie synopsis really quickly is Janiyah Wilkinson is a single mother living in a rundown apartment with her frequently ill daughter, Araya. One morning, while bathing her daughter and preparing her for school, Janiyah warns her not to wet her science project. The daughter expresses frustration over being unable to bathe herself and tells Janiyah that their teacher announced her mother couldn't afford her lunch. Janiyah is upset but tries to focus on get into work. All right, so that's how the movie starts off. So first, I want to say that I actually did like the movie. I was a fan of the movie. I felt like it was great acting. I feel like Sherry Shepherd, Taraji P. Henson, Tiana Taylor, the other people that was in the movie, Sinbad, I feel like they all played their parts very well. Let me start off there. And I feel like this was a very good put together movie. So I'm going to break down and I'm going to show pictures. I'm going to kind of narrate. And this is going to be a spoiler alert. So if you didn't see the movie, I don't recommend you watching past this point right here. But as I stated, she's a single mother with the daughter. The daughter is frequently sick and all that. So let me show this picture right here. So this is the daughter, So in this movie, Taraji has to really go into or should I say, she needs to tap into a dark space to kind of play this role, because this role in this movie was like very much of a roller coaster emotionally, because it just felt like no matter what, something was always happening to this woman in this movie, and it felt like she could never catch a break at all, So again, after she get the news that her teacher made the comment in front of the class in regards to her not being able to give the $40 to her daughter for lunch, she proceeds to start her day. So on her way out, she sees a neighbor who appears to be somewhat homeless or not doing well. So he is asking her for change. She first proceeds to see that she doesn't have it. She's like, I don't have it right now. She puts the daughter in the car, and then she kind of looks over at the man again, and then she kind of feels bad. And what she does is go dig into her purse, and whatever money she does have in there, she takes out and give to him, and tell him to enjoy it and say that is all she has. So after that, the landlord is living at the ran down apartment complex. So she sees this happening. So she yells down, "Oh, so you got money to give to him, but you can't pay your rent." Mind you, she gave this man probably maybe $1 or something, So she sees that, and then she says that, and then she tells her that if she doesn't bring the money back, then she's going to be evicted at 10 a.m. And, Janiyah, which is Taraji P. Henson character, proceeds to say that she is going to be back with the rent money today, So that's what happens in that scene right there. Yeah, so she threatened her with eviction unless rent is paid by 10 a.m. Yeah. So she proceeds to drop the daughter off to school, where the principal gives them a strange look. So that's going to make sense later. Janiyah heads to her grocery store job. So she works at a grocery store. So she walks in this grocery store, and it is packed with people, and I guess it's like the first of the month. Maybe it's like, where a lot of people is using the food stamps and different things like that. But it is mob, and it is just too much. Like it's a lot going on in there. So she gets up there, she starts ringing. First, she gets ridiculed by her asshole of a manager. That manager guy was terrible. I'll show his picture really quickly. This is the manager right here. I'm gonna just say before I get to it, he got what he deserved in this movie. He got what he deserved in this movie right here. I'm gonna just say that. All right, so she proceeds to go behind the register and start doing her job or whatever. And it was someone who was trying to use a WIC card to pay for some groceries or something along those lines. Hold on, let me get that correctly. Yeah, a customer. Yeah, so she tells her that she had that the WIC card won't cover all of the things. And then the customer gets smart and says she does it all the time, and she says she cannot do that and she needs the remainder in cash. So the lady throws a bottle at her. So it's just like, okay, damn. So in the morning, she got ridiculed by her landlord early in the morning, and then she got hit with the news about the daughter teacher saying something negatively about her not being able to pay the money. And then she goes into work with all of this, and then someone throws a bottle at her. So again, this is just the beginning of the movie, and this is like the start of her day. So then her boss orders her to go clean up the mess that someone threw at her. They threw a glass bottle at her. Didn't ask and check if she was okay or anything. Just orders and yells at her in front of all those customers. While in the back, Janiyah receives a call from her daughter's school notifying her that she needs to come in. So she gets that. And then, she kind of is on the phone. The boss, the man, this guy, walks back there and just starts to berate her and just be real disrespectful and everything. So, she says she has to run to the school, right? And she has to go pick up medicine and she has to go, drop off the money for her daughter so she can eat and everything. So she asks him, can she go? And he said that she better be back in 30 minutes. Mind you, this is an emergency. She needs to be back in 30 minutes. She didn't ask us, can she get her check? And he laughs and basically doesn't give her check. He refuses to release her paycheck. So then she rushes to the bank to withdraw money for her daughter's lunch, but the line is too long. So at the school, she is confronted by the principal and Child Protective Services, who takes her daughter into custody. So this is the next thing that happens to her. After everything that happened already, this is the next thing that happens to her. So they wind up taking her daughter and everything, and she tries to explain to them that the daughter wanted to be independent and wash herself up in the tub, and she failed by doing it. But they felt as though that it was because of the bruises on the baby, and then the teacher made allegations that sometimes the daughter comes to school and she is not, she doesn't smell good or anything like that. So it gets to the point where Janiyah is crying out for help, like, please don't take my baby, please don't take my baby. And they wound up taking the baby anyway. And then she just kind of, she goes into like these hallucinations and everything throughout the movie where like things get blurry and everything. So she goes into that type of thing, right? And then she goes into that, she kind of is coherent, but then she isn't at the same time, So that's that. And then what happens after that? Let me see. Yeah, so as they take the daughter away, she's telling them, like, listen, my daughter has seizures. She needs her medicine. Y'all cannot take my daughter. Like, y'all cannot take my daughter. My daughter is severely ill, and y'all taking her away is actually going to make her do worse, So as Janiyah drives back to work in the rain, she accidentally cuts off a man in the rain, right? Who turns out to be an off-duty police officer. So he has road rage. He throws a drink at her and runs her off the road. So as he does that, he got the car and he started yelling at her and he threatens her life. Then the police arrive. They impound her car due to expired documents. So when the police arrive, as he's yelling and berating her and everything, a female officer walks up. And the female officer is like, yo, chill, I got this, or whatever. You feel me? And then he says, I'm going to find a legal way to kill you. That is what the officer says to Taraji P. Henson character Janaya. You know, so she begs with them like, please don't take her car, like please don't take her car, like she needs her car, you know. And the officer says she's gonna write a ticket, and then she is pleading with her like, please, please, please don't take my car. I need my car. I need this for when my daughter is sick. You know, I can't wait for no ambulance or anything along those lines. You know. So they wound up, you know, they impound her car due to expired documents. So she eventually returns to work only to be fired. So she gets back to work. She obviously walked to work. She's soaking wet and everything. She goes back to her register, and then the manager proceeds to tell her that they called somebody else in and takes her to the back. And ultimately, he berates her. He, you know, fires her. Says that she always come up with excuses. And after he fired her, she kind of accepted that fate and was like, "Okay, can I just have my check?" And then he says something along the lines of, "Oh, you're fired. You are going to get your check in the mail." So instead of him giving her the paycheck right then and there, like she requested, she accepted that she was fired. She's like, "Okay, nothing I can do. I just want my money so I can go pay for my baby's lunch and so I can pay my rent." You know, because she is like, "I don't have nowhere to go." You know, so her boss again refuses to give her the paycheck. And then when, you know, that goes on and on, she asks and everything, he doesn't give it to her. So she eventually goes home. And then when she gets home, she finds her belongings thrown out and realizes that she has been evicted. Okay, so again, this is adding on to what she already previously went through. They already took her daughter. She had the road rage incident. You know, she got fired, and now she goes home and all of her stuff is outside in the pouring rain, and she's out there screaming and like, "Oh my God, why would you do this? Why would you do this?" You know, it was like her daughter's medicine that is very expensive was out in the rain and everything, and the landlord is like, you know, berating her and basically mocking her and saying, "That's what happened when you don't have my rent. You say you're gonna be back at 10 a.m." So that's just another thing into Janaya's day. Okay, so then new scene. It comes back to a new scene. She returns to the store to confront her boss. You know, asks for a check. She's asking for a check. He's continuously refusing to give this woman her little $500 check. He's refusing to give her this money. He's trying to make her life as hard as possible, you know? So, in the midst of all that, two armed robbers break in. One demands her daughter's backpack, and when Janiyah refuses, so this is the thing. They walk in, you know, put your hands up and everything. You know, they both got their hands up or whatever. And then they're asking for all the money. So the boss proceeds to give them all the money, you know, and then everything happened like I just explained about, you know, they asking for her daughter's backpack and everything. And I wrote this stuff down. They ask for the backpack. She refuses, and then she is assaulted. So during the struggle, she grabs the gun and shoots the robber. That's what happens, you know. So prior to that, they saw her name badge, and one of them said Janiyah or whatever, you know. So the manager automatically assumed that Janiyah had set this up because she was fired the day before, and then he starts like, you know, threatening her and saying that, you know, she's a bad mom. How she gonna take care of her daughter now? He's gonna get her locked up. He's calling the cops or whatever the case may be, you know. So she starts to panic. You know, Janiyah's panicking and everything because he mentions the daughter, and then he's still like verbally abusing this woman. Like yeah, you know, he verbally abusing her. And then it gets to the point where he says something, and then she goes into the hallucination type of thing again, where she's like coherent, she's hearing certain things, he's hearing daughter, and then he's saying things like, "How you gonna take care of your daughter now? I'm gonna make sure they lock you up or whatever." And then she finally shoots him. This is the man that she shoots. He deserved everything he got. Everything he got, he deserved. This nigga needed to die. You feel me? She shoots him, and then she flees, realizing, oh my God. And again, the sole reason she was there was to get her paycheck. After she shoots him, she doesn't take any of the money, all that money that was on the table. She literally looked through the stack of paychecks, and then she grabs the paycheck. And then she runs off, you know, with her bloody hands and everything. So, at the bank, she gets there. She's banging on the door because they're closing and everything. So, Sherry Shepard's character notices her and told the guard to let her in because they were telling her she couldn't come in. So she gets up there, they let her cash the check or whatever. And then the teller refuses to cash her check without ID. So, they ask for ID. She says she didn't have it. Y'all know me, I cash her all the time and everything. So, Janai gets desperate and she pulls out a gun. And then she prompts the teller to hand over the cash. And then there's a silent alarm that's triggered, and then it goes over to Sherry Shepherd character where a cop calls and asks, "Are they being robbed?" And then she says yes. And then she describes Taraji P. Henson's character, Janaya, and it's a silent alarm, so she doesn't even know that this is happening yet. You know? And then, of course, Nicole, that is Sherry Shepherd's character name, she tries to calm down Janaya. And then by that time, detectives Raymond and Grimes, so that is Tiana Taylor character, Detective Raymond, and Detective Grimes is the black guy who is the cop with Tiana Taylor. They were already investigating the store incident, and they was already informed of the bank robbery. So Officer Raymond, a former Army negotiator, offers to speak with Janaya because by this time, there is like panic in the supermarket. Let me see. Yeah, so this was just going back a little bit. This is a picture of her finding all her stuff outside in the rain. So they put all of her stuff outside in the rain, and this is her reaction to that. So this is like, Sherry Shepherd character, who's very empathetic, and then two of the bank tellers, the one in the middle with the purple that's making the face at Sherry Shepherd, she another one that deserved what she should have gotten. Let me say that, but she is, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of her character. Her character was very annoying for sure. Had no empathy or anything, her character. So all of this is going down. And then Tiana Taylor character, which is, let me find her picture. This is Tiana Taylor character, and this is the black cop that's with her. She offers to speak with Janaya. They begin to build a rapport over the phone. She starts to express herself about different things, talk about, how nobody, sorry, I didn't mean to go to that, how nobody is ever there to help her or where the case may be. And she kind of starts venting to the Tiana Taylor character and start telling her about her day and different things like that and how it just was always something, So that happens. They build a rapport. Janaya agrees to surrender only if the officer that threatened her life is removed from the scene. So there's a white cop who threatened her at the scene that said he was going to find a legal way to kill her. So, a lot of, I'm gonna skip some of the movie because some of y'all might want to watch it, but one of the bank tellers put their phone on live stream. So as she's explaining the story, she's being live streamed and she's on the news. So as she's on the news, then she starts to get sympathy from a lot of people. Let me see. Yeah, so she starts to get sympathy from a lot of people and everything. So prior to that, she is holding up people at the bank, So these three characters wound up eventually just escaping and everything and getting out of there, But Sherry Shepherd, her character stays in there, So she's getting the support of the people and everything. People come out there, they start protesting and everything. So long story short, because this has been a long story, it gets to the point where the remaining three hostages are these three people right here. They are the remaining three hostages and everything. So those three are the remainders. And in between that, again, Tiana Taylor's character is able to relate to Janaya because of her being a single mother and being raised by a single mother, So long story short and everything, I want to just get to the end of it all and let me read it. I want to give it verbatim. What is it? So throughout the movie, a lot of people, so she has her daughter's science project, right? So within that science project, it looks like it's a bomb. So the whole time throughout this movie, they think that she has a gun and a bomb. So that's why they wasn't like storming the building or anything because they thought that, it was a bomb or whatever. Whole time it was her daughter's science project, So this movie had a lot of different twists and everything, So Tiana Taylor's character wound up finding out who was the cop that basically threatened Janaya's life because Janaya said she would let the hostages go and she would turn herself in peacefully if that cop is removed from the scene. That was her whole thing or whatever. So when she finds out, Tiana Taylor, she punches the other cop in the face. So after a while, the stakeout is going on for like about 12 hours. Then the FBI gets involved. So FBI gets involved. They're a little bit tougher. It's a new person for her to talk to on the phone because she's constantly calling them, and everything. And she built a rapport with Officer Raymond. So with Officer Raymond not being there no more, she doesn't trust who this new person she's talking to. So as she's talking to him, she's saying, "I want to talk to Officer Raymond now." And then she hangs up. And then eventually Officer Raymond gets back on the phone, and she decides to not listen to the FBI, but to take things into her own hand and to show her the picture of the guy. And then to say that she got to remove from the scene or whatever. So shortly after, she allows the people that she sold the hostage to go. So the two of the characters leave. The two of the other characters leave, but Sherry Shepherd stays and everything. She's very empathetic to her throughout this whole thing or whatever. So throughout this whole situation, eventually the cops, the FBI, they get Jania's mother on the phone. So her mother gets on the phone and start asking her, "What are you doing?" Like how a mother would talk to a kid when they find out they are in trouble or whatever. And then Jania just starts to, explain herself and be like, "Mom, listen, I'm not robbing no bank. I just came here to cash my check and everything, and I wanted to get, money for, the daughter's lunch and everything, and she had to pay her rent and different things like that." So she's explaining all of that. And then her mother proceeds to tell her that the daughter died last night during the seizure. So throughout all of that, right? And then you had to watch the movie to see this part. So throughout all of that, so the daughter died the night before. So the whole time throughout the movie, like Taraji P. Henson is washing up her daughter that she thinks she's washing up. Then she's taking her to school. Then she's having these visions of her daughter, being taken away from her by CYS. It's all of these different things. She gets a call from the school and everything. Come to find out, none of this stuff ever happened. She was hallucinating, and she was pushed beyond her limit. She was hallucinating, and the flashback reveals that Ari's presence throughout the day had been hallucination. The school didn't call, CPS was never involved, and even though throughout the movie, Sherry Shepherd character was aware that the daughter was not alive, she was still there by Jania's side. She was aware that her daughter was already dead, and she had stayed back to protect Jania from herself in the situation. So eventually, that hallucination part go away, and then you see the FBI storm in. They storm right into place, right, and everything. And it's tear gas being thrown and everything, and hands is up and everything, and then Jania, the character, gets shot. So she gets shot and everything. And Sherry Shepherd character is like, "No, no, 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 no," and they're pulling her away, whatever. But that turns out to be a hallucination as well. So that was also a hallucination. So in reality, Jania peacefully surrenders to Detective Raymond with Nicole by her side. Which is Sherry Shepherd character. And throughout the movie, as Taraji P. Henson thinks her daughter's still alive, she asks Sherry Shepherd character to adopt her daughter because they're going to take her daughter. And Sherry Shepherd agrees to do it, even though she knows the daughter is not alive. She didn't want to trigger or upset her anymore. So overall, my thoughts of the movie, like I said, I feel like Sherry Shepherd did a great job in this dramatic role. She did really good in this movie. She played this part, and I feel like that was perfect casting. Of course, with Taraji P. Henson. Taraji P. Henson is just the gold, one of the best Black actresses and one of my favorite Black actresses of all time. If I was asked, I definitely think she got range, like her range. And the same thing with Tiana Taylor. Tiana Taylor really get busy in the acting world. Like, she really gets busy. And I don't feel like she gets the respect she deserves in the acting world. But Tiana Taylor can really act her ass off because just like Taraji P. Henson, Taraji has done multiple movies with Tyler Perry. I remember maybe the last one being Acrimony. and she did great in that movie. You know, they shot this movie in 4 days. That's what a lot of them were saying on the press run. You know, so the fact that this movie was shot in 4 days, it was well produced, visually it looked good. The acting was superb because you know sometimes in some Tyler Perry movies, and because he gives our community a lot of opportunities and everything, sometimes, he may be casting up and coming actors, and because they're moving and filming so quick, sometimes the acting doesn't always come across good on screen. But all that aside, I feel like it came good. It came across good on this screen with all these actors and everyone that he casted for this movie. So I feel like, Tiana Taylor did her thing, and all the supporting characters, they also did their thing as well. So overall, I feel like it was a good movie. There has been a lot of people online saying that they didn't like the movie, that the movie was unrealistic, that Tyler Perry just banks on the trauma of Black women, but no, it is so much more to that. And I wish our community, our people, our culture get aligned and understand and see what Tyler Perry is doing. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of everything Tyler Perry does, but he has some hits and he has some pretty good movies. And to me, this was a very good movie. I was emotional throughout this movie. I was, happy at some points and sad at other points. I'm got teary eyed and everything. Like, this movie was, I can say, it was like a thriller. It was like a lot going on. And, I can understand how some people may be like, oh my God, like there's so much going on. But this is the reality sometimes of Black women, because it's like a Black woman always has to bear the brunt of so many things. And then on top of that, with her bearing the brunt of so many things, she also has to always be the only one to fix so many things as well. So with her having to fix things as well, it's hard on her and it's hard on the Black woman. So because of all of that, it is showing the struggles in the everyday life of single mothers and specifically Black single mothers. So I feel like Tyler Perry got it right with this movie. He did really great with this movie. And I feel as though that this movie was good. For it to be a 4-day production shot movie, it was really good. So that's my thoughts on the movie. I give it it was good, like I'm not gonna say like 8, 9, 10 or whatever, but it was really good movie. So I recommend watching it. I think it's a good watch, and I think that this goes to show again the importance of having people like a Tyler Perry around. You may not like everything he does, but you have to at least be open to support it. And even if you don't like it, at least you supported it and you try to support it, as Black people. That's what we need to do. I think Taraji P. Henson should get, I might be pushing it a little too far, like a Oscar nomination for her role in this movie. Hell, at least an NAACP Image Award for this role. Like, she really played this role well, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts on this movie. That's my movie review for today for the Straw movie. Did you see the movie? Did you watch it? What were your thoughts? Did you like the acting in the movie? Did you like the storyline? Do you think that Tyler Perry got it right this time? Do you think he got it wrong? Let me know what you think down in the comments, okay? So, again, as I always say, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so you can stay tuned for more content just like this. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Jameer with 3 underscores that you see on the screen. You can also follow us on Instagram at As the Culture Turns. And you can like us on Facebook at As the Culture Turns. And again, as I always say, this has been Jameer with the journalism. And no, I'm not a journalist, but I got that journalism.